I'm not poking a bear. I'm saying that he's a stone. And I've spoken to 2 men he's lived in sales with. Who you heads with? Curtis? No, I'm not saying allegedly. You're and you know.
Yo, this just went somewhere nobody was ready for. Because what started as quiet whispers behind industry doors now looks like it's exploding into something way bigger and way darker than anyone expected. That IT looks like insiders are pointing toward a story that connects Jaguar Wright, 50 Cent, and EJ Johnson in a way that's sending shockwaves across social media. Because now, Jaguar isn't just talking anymore, she's allegedly hinting at something far more explosive. Leaked tapes, private connections, and a so-called DL situation that, if true, could flip public perception overnight. It looks like this isn't just about rumors anymore. Insiders say there may be a hidden layer to celebrity life that fans were never supposed to see. And the moment these claims started circulating, everything spiraled. Because here's where it gets uncomfortable. The same 50 Cent who built his image exposing others is now being pulled into allegations of a double life. The same EJ Johnson who dominates headlines with bold confidence is now at the center of claims that go far beyond identity and into something much more private and controversial. And then comes the twist nobody saw coming. Some are now questioning what Magic Johnson really knows and whether silence means protection or pressure. No confirmations, no proof, just claims. But the internet isn't waiting. Because if even a fraction of this is real, this isn't just a scandal anymore. It's a breakdown. And this story, it's only getting darker.
I know you're tight, Curtis. You gonna fall for one of my real soon. See if you figure out which one.
It looks like this situation just crossed a line nobody thought it would, because what started as quiet industry whispers is now turning into a full-blown controversy. And at the center of it all is Jaguar Wright, making claims that are shaking the image of some of the most recognizable names in entertainment. Insiders say this isn't random. This is targeted. And this time, the names being pulled into the conversation? 50 Cent and EJ Johnson. Now here's where it starts getting uncomfortable. Because Jaguar isn't just suggesting industry connections, she's alleging something far more private, a so-called DL situation that, according to her, has been kept completely out of public view. And the moment that claim surfaced, everything escalated. It looks like Jaguar is now hinting that she has access to leaked material, tapes that allegedly expose hidden relationships and behind-the-scenes interactions that were never meant to be seen.
Allegedly, you're and you know it.
I'm gonna do my Pierce Morgan and say he's not here to defend himself. So
no,
and
neither is his.
No footage has been released, no proof confirmed. But insiders say the idea alone was enough to ignite chaos. Because then came the next twist. Jaguar doubled down, and instead of speaking in vague terms, she directly called out the contradictions surrounding 50 Cent's public image. The same man known for exposing others, now being pulled into allegations of hiding something himself. And that's where the narrative shifts. Because this stops being about gossip and starts becoming about double lives. Public persona versus private reality. And according to Jaguar's claims, those two worlds may not match. But just as the conversation starts settling into that tension, another layer gets added. Because EJ Johnson is no stranger to headlines, bold fashion, confident interviews, and statements that constantly spark reaction online. And Jaguar didn't hold back there either. She criticized EJ's public comments, especially claims about attracting straight men and presenting as more appealing than women, calling it allegedly attention-driven and intentionally provocative. Now the internet is split. Some see it as confidence, others see it as controversy by design. But then the story takes a sharper turn. Because suddenly, the conversation shifts to Magic Johnson.
With me, and then they couldn't compete with my passion for the truth. The thing that hurts me is I have so many producers that have amazing records that they have been not allowed to release because someone paid for them not to be released. Which is why I walked away the way that I did, because I just wanted them to have a real shot without, when you have a billionaire
And this is where things get even more tense. Jaguar suggests that Magic may already be aware of more than the public knows, and yet remains silent. No statements, no reactions, just carefully maintain composure in front of cameras. And that silence, it's raising questions. Because insiders say in Hollywood, silence doesn't always mean ignorance. Sometimes it means protection, or pressure, or something even more complicated behind the scenes. And when Jaguar hinted that survival in the industry sometimes requires sacrifices, that's when the conversation went from controversial to unsettling. Now social media is spiraling. Clips are spreading, comments are stacking, and opinions are getting louder by the minute. Some are dismissing everything as wild speculation. Others are asking a different question entirely. What if there's more happening behind closed doors than anyone realizes? Because when you step back from the names, this starts to look bigger than just one allegation.
On my birthday, in June, that I was like, we're not doing he, we're not doing man, we're not doing gay. And it was very freeing. Even like son, I was like, the world tried to give me that label, like Magic Johnson's son. And I was like, well, he's dead. And now there is Miss Thing. We're not.
It starts to look like a pattern. Carefully managed images, controlled narratives, and a version of reality that only the public is allowed to see. But the truth? That might be something else entirely. And here's the part nobody can ignore. There's still no confirmed evidence. Everything remains alleged, unverified, unproven. But even without proof, the impact is already happening. Reputations are being questioned, perceptions are shifting, and the line between truth and rumor is getting harder to separate. So now the real question isn't just about 50 Cent or E.J. Johnson or even Magic Johnson. It's about the system itself. Is this just another viral moment fueled by bold claims? Or is this a glimpse into something deeper, something the public isn't supposed to fully understand? Because if even a small part of this turns out to be real, then this story doesn't just continue. It explodes. And based on how fast this is spreading, it looks like we're only at the beginning.
I don't want to label playing with my life. That's facts. That's real.
That means playing with, because I'm gonna expose. That means playing with your butt. You know what I mean? No, listen, because, I'll be honest, look, just saying in general, because I feel like a lot of people, I had 2 record deals, right? And
they wanted your butt?
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. You was with G-Unit. Look, he ain't smoked nothing, bro.
Hold on.
You ain't blink.
Jesus, okay. You sit back.
Who with G-Unit wanted your butt, bro?
Listen, hold on. Look.
What's his name?
So look, because it's not even funny. I'm keeping it real, right? It's not even.
It looks like the conversation isn't slowing down. It's getting more complicated. Because just as people were trying to process those initial claims, insiders say another layer quietly started surfacing. And this one shifts the focus away from just rumors and toward patterns. Patterns in behavior, patterns in interviews, and patterns in what isn't being said. Because now attention is turning back to E.J. Johnson, not just for headlines, but for past statements that are suddenly being re-examined under a completely different lens. Clips are resurfacing. Moments where E.J. openly spoke about attracting straight men, moments where confidence blurred into controversy, and moments that, at the time, felt bold, but now feel like something more deliberate. It looks like insiders are asking a new question. Interview 656, 755. Were those statements just personality, or subtle hints at something deeper? Because when those clips started circulating again, the narrative didn't stay contained. It expanded, and somehow, it circled right back to 50 Cent. Now here's where things take another turn. Because the internet isn't just reacting to Jaguar Wright's claims anymore, it's starting to build connections on its own. Fans are digging through old interviews, appearances, even social interactions, trying to find anything that could either support or completely dismantle the allegations. And the deeper people look, the more divided everything becomes. Some are saying there's nothing there, others are convinced there are subtle signs that were ignored for years. But then comes another shift. Because while all eyes are on E.J. and 50 Cent, there's a growing focus on what's happening behind the scenes with Magic Johnson. Not what he's saying, but how he's acting. It looks like viewers are now analyzing his interviews more closely than ever. Body language, tone, hesitation. Moments where answers feel rehearsed, moments where eye contact drops, moments where words don't fully match expression. And while none of that proves anything, it's enough to keep speculation alive.
He went on a diet. Curtis?
Okay. So, right, so you can find him in the club.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. So let me ask you, when Pierce...
Hopefully not at Coco Pele.
Damn.
I got somebody looking for you there.
Damn.
I know you're tight, Curtis. You gonna fall for one of my real soon. See if you figure out which one.
Oh my God. So
I had somebody watching your ass the second you came down to the clerk's office. Now, you might have been able to pay everybody down there to get on Facebook and lie about me and say that I was arrested for kidnapping and elderly abuse. Y'all remember when I got arrested and brought here to Dallas after I got extradited? What was it, for kidnapping?
Because in an industry built on image, even the smallest detail can start to feel significant. And then comes the part that's making this even heavier. Because insiders say this might not just be about one situation. It could reflect a much larger pressure that exists inside celebrity culture. A pressure to maintain a perfect narrative, to protect reputations at all costs, to never let the public see uncertainty or conflict or anything that could disrupt the brand. And if that's true, then silence becomes more than silence. It becomes strategy. It becomes survival. And suddenly, Jaguar Wright's claims, as unverified as they are, start fitting into a broader conversation people have been having for years about what's real and what's carefully constructed. But just as that idea starts gaining traction, another twist appears. Because now, some voices online are pushing back hard. They're calling the entire narrative dangerous, speculative, built on assumptions rather than facts. And they're asking a different question. What happens when viral claims go too far? Because without evidence, without confirmation, without anything concrete, reputation damage can happen instantly. And in today's digital space, that damage doesn't wait for truth. It moves faster than it. So now, the situation sits in a strange place. Caught between suspicion and skepticism, between belief and doubt, between a story that feels too detailed to ignore and a lack of proof that makes it impossible to confirm. And that tension, it's exactly what's keeping this alive. Because every new clip, every repost, every reaction adds another layer, another interpretation, another version of what people think might be happening behind closed doors. But the reality is still the same. No tapes have been released that no claims have been verified that no one involved has confirmed anything publicly. And yet, the conversation keeps growing, which leads to the question nobody seems able to answer right now. Is this just another moment where speculation took over the narrative? Or is this one of those rare situations where something real is hiding underneath the noise? Because if there is something there, then what we're seeing right now is only the surface. And whatever comes next could change everything. It looks like this situation is starting to move beyond speculation and into something far more uncomfortable. Because just when the conversation seemed to reach its peak, insiders say a quieter, but more serious, shift began happening behind the scenes. Not louder, not public, but deeper. Because now, attention isn't just on what was said, it's on what might happen next. And that's where things take a different tone. It looks like conversations are no longer centered only around Jaguar Wright and her claims, but around whether anything could actually surface to support them. Because one detail keeps coming back into focus. Those alleged tapes. No previews, no leaks, no confirmations. But insiders say the possibility of their existence is enough to make people nervous. Because in an industry where image is everything, one unexpected release can shift everything overnight. And that's what has people watching closely now. Not just the names involved, but the silence around them. Because so far, neither 50 Cent nor E.J. Johnson has directly addressed any of these claims. No denials, no responses, no public reactions. And in situations like this, silence doesn't always calm things down. Sometimes it fuels them. Because the longer there's no response, the more space there is for interpretation. And right now, that space is being filled fast. But then comes another layer, one that makes everything even more complex. Because some insiders are now suggesting that speaking out isn't always simple. Especially when multiple reputations are connected. Because if one person responds, it could pull others into the spotlight. If one statement is made, it could trigger more questions than answers. And suddenly, what looks like a simple denial turns into a chain reaction. And that's where the idea of controlled silence starts coming into play. Because while silence might protect internally, externally it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty spreads fast. Now, add another detail into this. Because some viewers are starting to connect this situation with a broader pattern in celebrity culture, moments where controversy builds quietly, peaks suddenly, and then either disappears or explodes depending on what surfaces next. Will there be proof? Will there be a response? Or will this remain exactly what it is now? A storm built on claims, reactions, and unanswered questions. And that's where the tension reaches its highest point. Because if nothing surfaces, this could slowly fade into another unresolved controversy. But if something does appear, even something small, it could completely shift how everything is being viewed right now. Reputations could be redefined, unconfirmed, unverified, and still evolving. Which brings this entire situation to one final, uncomfortable question. Is this story already as big as it's going to get? Or is this just the calm before something much bigger breaks? Because based on how quietly this is building, and how carefully people are watching, it doesn't look like it's over. It looks like it's waiting. Right now, there's still no confirmed proof. No verified footage. No official statements from 50 Cent or E.J. Johnson. But the silence, it's becoming louder than any response. It looks like insiders are watching closely, waiting to see if this story fades quietly or detonates without warning. Because if those alleged tapes ever surface, even partially, this doesn't stay speculation. It becomes evidence. And once that line is crossed, there's no pulling it back. Reputations could shift, narratives could collapse, and everything built on public image could be questioned in real time. But here's the part that keeps people locked in. What if nothing drops? What if this remains exactly what it is now, a storm of claims, reactions, and unanswered questions? That uncertainty is what's driving the conversation forward. Because people aren't just reacting anymore, they're anticipating. So now it comes down to this. Do you think this is just another viral controversy that will disappear as quickly as it arrived? Or are we watching the early stages of something much bigger, something that hasn't fully revealed itself yet? Because if history has shown anything, it's that stories like this don't just end. They either fade or they explode.